All right, now you guys can hear me. I said all that to say this because you couldn't hear me. But I said Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy New Year, and anything I may have missed. But I just wanted to get on here and tell everyone that at the beginning of the show. Today we're going to be covering the Epstein Files, part one of the data set one. The Department of Justice has released, I believe it's 8 data sets. And I think the data set one was like 1.2 gigs. So there's quite a few photos. I think there's like 3,000 or 4,000 photos, I think, per data, at least in data set one there was. So today we're going to be covering those. I went through all of the photos that we're going to cover today. We're not covering every single photo because a lot of the photos are redundant. You know, pictures of an empty shelf, pictures of the floor, you know, stuff that's just not interesting, not intriguing. I did not skip over anything of evidence value or anything with number cards or anything like that. So I just want that to be known. Yeah, so so we got one person in here right now, waiting on others to gather in. So I want to start with this PBS article that was written about 7 things to know about Jeffrey Epstein, about the Justice Department's Epstein Files. So we'll start at the top. New York AP. The clock is ticking for the U.S. government to open up its files on Jeffrey Epstein. After months of rancor and recriminations, Congress has passed and President Donald Trump has signed legislation compelling the Justice Department to give the public everything it has on Epstein, and it has to be done before Christmas. So today's Christmas Eve, so I think they've released about 30,000 documents so far. But even that might not be enough for the curious and the conspiracy-minded. While there's sure to be never-before-seen material in the thousands of pages likely to be released, a lot of Epstein-related records have already been made public, including by Congress and through litigation. Don't expect a client list of famous men who cavorted with Epstein. Though such a list has long been rumored, the Justice Department said in July that it doesn't exist. Here's a look at what's expected to be made public, what isn't, and a refresher on how we got to this point. So, who is Jeffrey Epstein? Let's start there. Epstein was a millionaire money manager known for socializing with celebrities, politicians, billionaires, and the academic elite, who was accused of sexually abusing underage girls, lots of them. His relationships with powerful men, including President Trump, former President Bill Clinton, and the former British Prince Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, have been the subject of endless fascination and speculation. Neither Trump nor Clinton has been accused of wrongdoing. Andrew has denied abusing anyone. All right. Police in Palm Beach began investigating Epstein in 2005 after he was accused of paying a 14-year-old girl for sex. The FBI then joined the investigation, but Epstein made a secret deal with the U.S. attorney in Florida to avoid federal charges, enabling him to plead guilty in 2008 to a relatively minor state-level prostitution charge. He served 13 months in jail in a jail work release program. I did not know that. That's actually information and news to me. I didn't know that he had been previously convicted of this in 2008. In 2019, during Trump's first term, Manhattan federal prosecutors revived the case and charged Epstein with sex trafficking, alleging he sexually abused dozens of girls. He killed himself in jail a month after his arrest. In 2021, a federal jury in Manhattan convicted Epstein's longtime confidant and former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, of sex trafficking for helping recruit some of his underage victims. She is currently serving a 20-year prison sentence. What's in the Justice Department's Epstein files? We're about to find out. Records related to the aborted Florida investigation, the Manhattan investigations, and anything else the Justice Department did to examine Epstein's dealings in the time in between. They could include notes and reports written by FBI agents, transcripts of witness interviews, photographs, videos, and other evidence, Epstein's autopsy report, and some material that may already be public, such as flight logs and travel records. The law, dubbed the Epstein Files Transparency Act, mandates the Justice Department to release all unclassified documents and investigative materials, including files relating to immunity deals and internal communications about whom to charge or investigate. What isn't authorized for release under the law? Anything containing a victim's personally identifiable information. And that's standard anywhere. They're always going to redact any kind of victim information, especially sex assault victims and minor children, which I think is right. The law allows the Justice Department to withhold or redact records that, if made public, would constitute a clearly unwarranted invasion of personal privacy. It also bars the release of any materials depicting the sexual abuse of children or images of death, physical abuse, or injury. That means that if videos or photos exist of Epstein or anyone else sexually abusing underage girls, they can't be made public. However, the law also makes clear that no records shall be withheld or redacted, meaning certain parts are blacked out, solely because their release would cause embarrassment or reputational harm to any public figure, government official, or foreign dignitary. Okay, when will the files be available to the public? The legislation requires the Justice Department to make the documents public in a searchable and downloadable format within 30 days of Trump signing it into law. That means no later than December 19th, which is what happened. We got our first release on Friday, December 19th, I believe it was. So, let's see. What about the so-called client list? Epstein's so-called client list, a purported collection of his famous associates, has been the white whale of Epstein sleuths, skeptics, and conspiracy theorists alike. Excuse me. Even Bondi got in on the act, telling Fox News in February that the client list was sitting on my desk right now to review. The only problem, the Justice Department concluded it doesn't exist, issuing a letter in July saying that its review of Epstein-related records have revealed no incriminating client list. Nor was there credible evidence that Epstein had blackmailed prominent individuals as part of his actions, the unsigned memo said. I also take a lot of this article, take it with a grain of salt, because this is written by PBS, which is a very liberal, very left-leaning, government-funded broadcasting station. So take all this with a grain of salt, if you will. All right. Why are these records being released now? Congress is forcing the government to act after Trump reneged on a campaign promise last year to throw open the files. The Justice Department did release some records earlier this year, almost all of them already public, but suddenly hit the brakes in July after promising a truckload more. That prompted a small bipartisan group of House lawmakers to launch what was initially seen as a long-shot effort to compel the release through legislation. In the meantime, lawmakers started disclosing documents they've received from Epstein's estate, culminating in a 23,000-page release last week. As public and political pressure mounted, including from some Trump allies, Congress swiftly passed the Epstein Files Transparency Act on Tuesday, and Trump signed it into law on Wednesday. Now, this article was written November 21st of this year. Let's see. We did that. Okay, haven't some Epstein files already been made public? Yes, before Congress got involved, tens of thousands of pages of records were released over the years through civil lawsuits. Epstein and Maxwell's public criminal case dockets, public disclosures, and FOIA requests, Freedom of Information Act, many documents, including police reports written in Florida, state grand jury records, depositions of Epstein's employees, his flight records, address book are all available already. In July, the DOJ released surveillance video from the jail on the night Epstein died, which I think we are going to cover that at some point, but it's like 10 hours long, and it's just outside the cell. Maybe I'll be able to clip it down and post it or go over it. Okay. Even the FBI has previously released some Epstein-related files, posting more than 1,400 pages to its website, though much of the material was redacted and some hidden because it was under seal. So you got a little bit of a taste and understanding of what's going on here. The whole Jeffrey Epstein thing. So this is the Epstein Files Transparency Act that President Trump signed into law on Wednesday, which I believe was last Wednesday. So that was maybe the 17th of it would have been the 17th of December 2025 that he signed it into law. So this is the law. Basically, official titles from EH engrossed in House bill text to require the Attorney General to release all documents and records in possession of the Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein and for other purposes. So it became law number 119-38 on November 19th, 2025. It was signed by the president on November 19th, 2025. So not December. I was incorrect. So now that we've covered that, let's get into the actual documents and the photos and see what we got going here. Let me transition over to the photos here. Okay. All right. So we're going to start at the beginning. Okay. Let's see here. Sorry, I was trying to do. Okay, here we go. Let's do this. All right. So I believe this is his Manhattan home. Okay. All right. What happened? Bear with me, folks. I don't understand why it won't let me show these. All right, well, I guess we're just going to have to try something a little different here, folks, because for some reason, it's not letting me screen share that page for some reason. I don't get it. I don't understand. I literally had all of this working beforehand. I don't understand.
Okay, we're leaving at 2:30.
All right, I really don't know what's going on here, folks. It's literally not letting me share anything. I'm going to try to log out.